What's up, everybody? Josie here, and just want to wish everybody a happy New Year. I think I've stated before how I'm not really big on New Year's. To me, it's not really like a big deal. It's just like another calendar year. Uh, I've always stated how for me, my New Year is basically my birthday because that's like a new year of life for me. But I think as I've grown up, I've started counting a New Year as basically the halfway point between my birthday and because that's basically it's literally 6 months from my birthday. Uh, but I decided last year to do the whole New Year's resolution thing, and I don't know if any of you guys recall, but last year my resolution was to read 10 books this year because I had so many books and just have a hard time like sitting down and reading them, and so that was my resolution, and I'm happy to say that I have succeeded uh, in my resolution and yeah, so I'm really proud of myself, and it's something that it seemed so minute and such a small thing, like read 10 books. But for me, it's a big accomplishment. Just it's a good starting point. So this year, 2018, I decided, last year was 10. This year, I'm gonna do 12. So a book a month. It's still kind of low. I feel like I should have a set myself for like a higher number of books, but I think 12 is a good way where I don't want to overwhelm myself either. So I think if I stick with something that's reachable, it makes me more likely to stick through it throughout the year if it's something that I think I could actually do. So this year, 12 books. So the books I read this year, I'm gonna go through them in no specific order. I think I'll go in order by how I read them. So the year previous, 2016, like the last 2 months, I started reading. I decided I was gonna read all the Harry Potter books, so I read the first two last year, so 2016, and this year, 2017, I started book three, which is the Prisoner of Azkaban. And so I read three, then I read the fourth one, the fifth, sixth, and seventh. So that's 5 books right there, just finishing the Harry Potter series. From there, I went to this book called Just Mercy, which is a really good book, nonfiction, which I highly recommend if you find it. It's really good. Uh, it's basically about this guy who works with death row inmates who can't really, who most of the time are innocent or maybe have been judged uh, way too severely where the punishment does not fit the crime sort of thing, and it's a really good insight on the kind of like the history of incarceration and a better view on how the justice system works as a whole and how it's kind of set up to like screw over the little guy, and it's a really good book. I highly recommend that one. So that was my sixth book this year. After that I read Star Wars Knight Errant, and that one it's a book that I had started years ago, and like midway through, I just stopped reading it, which was kind of like the main reason for doing this because I start things and just never finish. So I picked it up, started from beginning and read the whole thing. It's a really good book, and if you're a Star Wars fan, I recommend it as well. It's no longer canon, so it's part of the Legends series now, but it's really good. Basically, what I like about it is just it follows three different characters and it jumps between their storylines and their perspectives, and then eventually they all come together and it's done in like three separate acts, and each one ends in like a grand finale, and it's really good. I highly recommend it. It's like a big blockbuster with just a whole bunch of stuff happening everywhere. It's really good. I recommend it. Then after that, I decided to read The Hobbit, which is another book I've been wanting to read for a while now, and I'm really happy I did. Um, what I really like about it is just the whimsical nature of Tolkien's writing, and I could really see why it's so beloved, and it's really good. My only problem with the book, and the only thing that made the book a bit hard to read was I forget exactly what chapter it is, but it's the part where they meet Bjorn, the skin changer, and I feel like that whole chapter is just it took me forever to get through it because basically what it boils down to is him retelling what everything that just happened, and so I found it like really unnecessary and kind of boring. Although I do like the idea of the skin changers, I felt that chapter was bad. But other than that, I really like the book. So after reading The Hobbit, I went. What's that? That's book. That's book 8. And then, all right, try not to laugh, you guys, but I bought 50 Shades of Grey, and I decided to read that, and I'll probably do a review on that just because uh, I could go on talking about it forever. But yeah, I read that one. Um, After 50 Shades of Grey, I decided to read The Disaster Artist, and that rounds up my 10th book. Now, The Disaster Artist, I read in audio book format, which I am counting because I actually, whenever I put it, I wasn't doing anything else. I was just listening to it, and I was really into the story. And The Disaster Artist is basically a book that's behind the scenes of the making of The Room. And if you don't know what The Room is, it's basically regarded as like the worst film ever made. But it's also the best worst film ever made. And what that means basically that the movie's so bad, but it's also very enjoyable to watch because what you're seeing on screen is just it's like how could it how was this made? Why how can anyone actually ever think that was good? And that's the funny thing is someone actually thought it was a good story and directed it serious, but it came out so bad. And it's a really good, it's a really fun movie, and I recommend you watching it. You can find it on YouTube or something. And if you watch it, I highly recommend reading the book. And if you can, get the audiobook because um, the audiobook is narrated by the guy who plays Mark, Greg Sestero, and he does the Tommy Wiseau voice really good. So you it's really good. It's something that it's hard to kind of a picture when you're reading it. But if you're hearing the audio and you see how Tommy Wiseau talks, and if you've seen The Room, you know how he has a very thick accent, and he captures that well in the audiobook. So I recommend that. It's just a whole bunch of bizarre stuff that happens. And then after the Disaster Artist, also listened to another audiobook, which was Ready Player One, and it's just because when I had heard about this book and I had heard about them making the movie, but until I actually saw the trailer and I saw how cool the movie looked, it piqued my interest enough so that I got the audiobook and I listened to it the whole thing, and I actually just finished that today. So we're like cutting it really close. So that's what's that book 11, I think. My math is weird, and that book Ready Player One, I really like, and I'm, though sometimes it feels like the author's just like throwing a whole bunch of '80s references just for kind of like him rubbing it in people's faces, like look at all this knowledge I have of the '80s, and it seems like that, like he's a child of the '80s, so that comes across clearly. Man, I think the adaptation of the movie is gonna do trying to appeal to people who are younger, so it's not gonna just stick on stuff with the '80s, so more stuff for millennials, and I think that's the right track to take this stuff, and there's a lot of potential there for a pretty cool movie. So I'm really excited to see that movie, and overall I enjoyed the book. I really liked the ending and how it concluded. It was pretty cool. Um, and then the last book, which I'm literally just finishing. I need like another chapter, but I'll be done basically. And yes, it's 50 Shades Darker. So I figured if I was gonna read the first one, I might as well read the whole series, you guys. So yeah, I'll be done with this in like another half an hour maybe, and I'll start the third one after that. And yeah, I do have all three. Basically the reason I have them is because my sister had them, and she's not a big reader. I think somebody gave her the books, and she read like 2 pages and decided she didn't want to read it. And then she was gonna sell them. She was selling them at the swap meet for like $5. And then I told her I'll give her $5, and she gave me all three of them for $5. And I figured that's pretty good. If my sister didn't have these books and I didn't get them for the $5, I honestly would not have picked them up. But I'm getting so much enjoyment of just how how terrible these books are, but I can't put it down, so I guess it's working, right? Basically, that's pretty much it for my book list. I think that's 12, so I exceeded my book count. So you know what? See, I'm tempted to do more books this year, but I think I'm gonna keep it at 12 just because I know it's a. Okay, we're gonna do 14. 14. I'm saying it right now. We're gonna do 14 books for 2018, and I really hope I could do this. Another thing that I want to add to my New Year's resolution is recently, like this past few months, I really gotten into like writing, not so much writing, but like conceptualizing stuff and stories and stuff. And I don't consider myself a writer, and I don't even think my writing's any good. But I feel like I have pretty good ideas, so I'm gonna kind of exercise that part of my mind, something I don't use. And I decided for this year I'm gonna do some writing, just simple stuff. So that's gonna be my other resolution. Do some writing, do more writing. Either it be simple outlining for the stories that I have. Maybe just writing short stories. I kind of did start a short story. I'll probably never show it to anyone, or maybe I will just so I can get some feedback. But it's really just me kind of exercising my mind a bit, and just I do want to get these stories out just because I feel like they're just in my head, and this the sooner I could write them down, the sooner I could kind of forget about them, clear my mind, and just think about other stuff. But basically, just to give you a rundown of the stuff that I have thought, I just started a short story which was gonna be kind of like a comedy horror sort of thing, or I don't know what it was gonna be, and honestly, I probably won't finish it just because I feel like there's a lot of setup and the payoff isn't as isn't doesn't the payoff isn't as satisfying as I would like it to be. So I'll probably scrap that. And then I think last year I had started some outlining of this comic book series that I thought of. That it was just some fun stuff. It was something that I thought of when I was a little kid, like 10 or 11, and it just recently resurfaced in my mind. And I just it's something me and I have been shooting ideas with my cousin. And he said it was pretty cool. Uh, so I kind of want to get that out just because I have so many stories. Like literally, you guys, this comic book story that I have outlined and basically the beginning, the middle, and end. So I know where everything's going. I know which characters are gonna live, which characters are gonna die. Uh, I know what I know if what characters I'm introducing like halfway through the series, and different plots that I have, and it's just a bunch of stuff that I just think it's I don't know I think it's pretty cool. I even thought of like potential spin-off series and a potential spin-off that would happen after the series is done. That's if I wanted to do it, or maybe I'll just let someone else do it. But the main reason I haven't followed through on that was because I did picture it as kind of like a comic book, but the problem is I can't draw like at all. I have no artistic um, anything. I can't draw, I can't color, I can't do anything. So it's kind of like, what's kind of my whole reason was, what's the point if I can't uh, completely visualize this idea that I have? I could write it, I could write all these all these dialogues, all these characters, but I can't draw them. And being that it was a comic book, it's such a visual thing, and unfortunately, I don't know any comic book artist or anyone that is even like artistically inclined that would. And even if I did, I wouldn't know anyone that would be remotely interested in working with me on something that probably not gonna go anywhere. Just something just for fun. So that's something I'll probably just write down the scripts and see what happens with that. And then I also started working on another outline for a fantasy sort of series. I don't know if I was gonna do like a novel or maybe I was gonna script it into like a show or something. I don't know. I just want to. I'm trying to see what I could do. So I'm trying different mediums, and it's not like I'm forcing them. It's just like I have this idea for the story, and and I want it to be this. But this fantasy, I kind of picture like a novel or like a series because I have a potential 3 book series if I ever feel like I'm capable of writing a whole book. But I want to keep outlining that just because I have a lot of cool ideas for that, and then I also have a idea for like a crime novel. But honestly, I'll probably never write that just because I have there's just so much nuances and intricacies that go into like writing mysteries, and that one is just and because it it revolves a very real topic and something that is very controversial, and I feel like I don't have the ability to write something without, and I have a fear that I'll come off disrespecting the what it's about just because it's based on some real stuff. And yeah, I just went off on a tangent, but basically, yeah, my resolutions is do the 14 books and write some more. Just finish these concepts that I have. And if anything ever comes out of this writing, I'll probably share it with you guys just because why not? And let me know what you guys have for resolutions. I think I've said it before how I think some of them are silly. I think the idea is to set goals that are reachable. So I'm gonna reiterate on what I said last year. If your resolution is to lose weight or to be skinny, just make it realistic. Maybe do something simple as instead of saying you're gonna lose weight this year, just like I said last year, just make your resolution to cut down your intake on certain stuff. Like if you're a person who drinks soda after every meal, maybe say, uh, I'm a each month I'm gonna drink maybe a I'm gonna cut down on my soda. So like if I drink soda with every meal, maybe this time I only drink it during lunch, and then eventually you could start cutting out that way. I think that's gonna be more helpful, and it makes for goals that are more obtainable. Make little goals that have potential of becoming bigger goals. So your overarching goal could be lose weight, but you gotta have those small ones to say how you're gonna do it. So cutting off soda, maybe if you eat out every weekend, maybe switch it so you only eat out once a month, and stuff like that. That it helps, trust me. Basically, that's pretty much it for this video, you guys. I know it kind of went longer than I intended it to. I literally only planned for 5 minutes, and I'm just kind of rambling on right now, and I don't know why I haven't shut up. But yeah, have a happy New Year's, you guys. Stay safe, and like I said on my Christmas video, if you're drinking, don't drive. I can't stress that enough. I know it sounds redundant to say that just because it's something people say all the time, but for some reason people still do it, and it always upsets me hearing these stories of people getting hurt because they're driving out drunk. And what always sucks is that it's never the drunk driver that gets hurt. It's always someone else. And you know, there's a lot of families out there trying to get home, and you're kind of putting everyone else at risk. Just it's kind of selfish in a way because I mean, it, you're getting drunk and you're putting everyone else at risk, and I think that's for lack of a better word, it's just very uncool. It's very selfish, and just don't do that, you guys. If you're out somewhere, with your family, if you have drank a few, just stay over. I'm sure they won't mind. I'm pretty sure your family and friends would rather have you safe and stay over than to leave and get yourself hurt. So anyway, that's my 2 cents, and like I said, Happy New Year's, and I'll see you guys on the next video, and I'll try to post more stuff up soon. Anyways, bye, you guys.